In the quiet mountains of a faraway land, an old monk lay on his bed, taking his last breaths. The disciples of the monastery gathered around him, waiting to hear his final words of wisdom. The old monk opened his eyes and whispered, "Never allow a cat into your life." And with that, he passed away. The monks looked at each other in confusion. Of all the profound teachings they expected, this was the strangest. The young monk who would succeed him as the leader of the monastery was especially puzzled. What could the master possibly mean by that, he thought. Days passed, but the words kept echoing in his mind. Never allow a cat into your life. Finally, he approached the oldest monk in the monastery, one who had lived alongside the master for decades. The young monk bowed and said, "Brother, you knew the master longer than anyone. Please tell me, what did he mean by not letting a cat into my life?" The old monk smiled knowingly. "Ah, there's a long story behind those words. Sit and I will tell you. Many years ago, when the master was a young man, he left his family and worldly life in search of truth. He wandered deep into the forest until he found a peaceful place near a small village. Every day, he would walk to the village to beg for food. The villagers respected him greatly. Eventually, they built him a small bamboo hut so he could meditate in peace. But one day, a problem arose. Rats began sneaking into his hut and chewing holes in his only 2 sets of robes. Frustrated, the young monk mentioned this to the villagers. One of them suggested, "Why don't you keep a cat? It will keep the rats away." It seemed harmless enough, so the monk accepted the offer. Sure enough, the cat drove the rats away. But now there was a new problem. The cat needed milk. The monk had to visit the village several times a day just to beg for it. Seeing this, a villager suggested, "Why not keep a cow? That way you'll have milk for the cat and for yourself." The monk agreed, and soon he had a cow. But the cow needed grass, and the monk's meditation was being interrupted by the constant work of finding it. The villagers then offered another solution. "There's a widow in the village with no family. She would be honored to serve a holy man like you. She can care for your cow, your cat, and your hut. We will even give her some land to grow grass and vegetables." The monk thought, why not? It seemed reasonable. The widow moved in and began managing everything. She fed the cow, tended the garden, and cooked meals. The monk, out of kindness, began helping her in the fields. Day after day, they worked side by side. Slowly, their bond grew stronger. Eventually, friendship turned to affection. Affection turned to love. And love turned into a relationship. Months later, the woman gave birth to a child. The monk, who had once spent his days in deep meditation, now spent them working tirelessly to feed his family. His life was filled with the same worldly responsibilities he had once renounced. One evening, exhausted from work, he sat and thought, "How did this happen? I left my family to seek enlightenment, but here I am, right back where I started." And then he realized it all began with the cat. The old monk finished the story and looked into the eyes of the young successor. "My friend," he said softly, "when a master told you never to allow a cat into your life, he wasn't literally talking about cats. He was warning you about the mind. Even the smallest indulgence, the tiniest distraction, if left unchecked, can grow into something that takes over your entire life. It happens slowly, so you don't even notice until it's too late." He continued, "Think about it. How many bad habits begin with just this once? How many addictions start with only one try? A single drink, a single cigarette, a single night of procrastination. The mind convinces you it's harmless, but once you open the door, it will keep pushing for more." The young monk nodded silently, realizing the depth of the warning. The old monk went on, "The mind is powerful. It can be your greatest servant or your worst master. A controlled mind can lead you to wisdom, peace, and success. But an uncontrolled mind will lead you into traps you never intended to enter. It's like a fast car without a steering wheel. It has speed but no direction, and that is dangerous." Friends, this story is not just about a monk or a cat. It's about all of us. We allow small distractions into our lives, a little laziness, a little gossip, a little indulgence, and we tell ourselves it's fine. But these small seeds can grow into forests that block our path completely. So, remember the master's final words. Never keep the cat of mental indulgence. If you let it in, it will quietly take over your life before you even realize it. Control your mind before it controls you. Because in the end, the greatest battles are not fought on battlefields. They are fought within.